Hello and welcome to We Don't Have Time headquarters here in Stockholm. My name is Ingmar Rentzhog. I'm the founder and CEO of We Don't Have Time. This is our main office in Stockholm, but we also have offices in Washington DC and Nairobi. I'm just back from Climate Week in New York. It was a packed week with a lot of action, and I'm actually very hopeful after this week. And I'm going to show you why. One of the main reasons is that it's so many people fed up that we are not progressing more. It's a lot of people that are wondering why is not things moving in the right direction faster. And the conclusion for everything from business leader to the Californian governor, they're very outspoken. It's because there is a fossil fuel industry out there working against change. And for the first time, everyone are acknowledging this. So I would say the fossil fuel industry became toxic in mainstream businesses. And the reason why we must call that out is that they are not progressing enough for the climate. And in fact, they are working against progress. One thing they try us to believe is that we're not progressing. That is impossible to change. But that is not the truth. And I will now show you what I'm talking about. This is what you see here is a graph, it's a picture, it's kind of well done. It's shared throughout social media, gets hundreds of thousands of likes and shares, etc. So if you look at this, people are getting very upset. It's a graph over the electricity production last year. And according to this graph, if you look at this very fast, renewables are only 14% of the total share. But this is not true, because this graph is actually deliberately lying to us. You also have hydroelectric, that is renewable, and for some reason it's not put together. So if you add renewables plus hydroelectric, you will be almost at 30%. And we also we need every energy there are out there in order to make it. So we also need fossil-free energy like nuclear. So if we add nuclear to it, we're actually at 38%. People don't know this. When I ask audiences about this, people are often answering about 10-14%. So we need to get people to know that things are moving in the right direction much faster. So in China, they're actually above the global average and are at 50% fossil-free electricity production. And that's a fantastic milestone, because once you have hit 50%, fossil fuel is never going to get back. And other things are moving so fast in the right direction. Solar and wind, electricity, visual, they're all growing very rapidly. This is last year's figures. This year, you have exponential, it's more than exponential growth. You don't want to be a car manufacturer producing old fossil fuel cars, do you? And for the very first time, investment in solar is actually more than investment in oil. So the investment are also going in the right direction. And this is incredibly good news as well. More and more countries, in fact 15 countries have already decoupled. They are growing their economy and their emissions are going down. United Kingdom, France, Germany, Sweden, United States, and some others. And I'm not talking about emission within their own borders. I'm talking about emission including the consumption. So if you consume from another country, that will be included in the statistics. So this is very good news. We can do it. Not all countries are there already. If you see like China here, they are growing the GDP very, very fast, but they are also growing the emission, but not as fast. So we are moving in the right direction. It's just one big thing. We're doing it too slow. We need to speed up, but we're doing it. And that's the important difference. In order to solve the climate crisis and stay on around 1.5 degree, that is the safe limit, we need to halve the emission every decade. And we are nearing the point where we are flattening out the curve, but it's not enough. We need to cut it in half. So we need to push this further. So what are the world governments, what are the leaders doing about this? Are they helping? Are they speeding up change? No, completely not. They're doing the opposite, unfortunately. This is the problem. If you take UK, they're licensing hundreds of new oil and gas licenses. Right now, this summer, Canada, 12 billion offshore oil plan. Australia, 160 new coal, oil and gas. Norway, 19 billion investment in new extraction of oil. Sweden, we don't have oil, but what we are doing instead is that we are lowering the tax on fossil fuel, increasing the fossil fuel subsidies. And the subsidies are crazy because the more expensive fossil fuel becomes and the cheaper the green alternative becomes, the more subsidies are the governments paying. According to IMF, we're talking about $7 trillion per year. It's record high. And 7 trillion, that is 7% of the global economy. 7% are going to sponsor the very profitable fossil fuel industry, making their products cheaper. That's insane. So what are the US president doing about this? He said this before the election.
Number one, no more subsidies for fossil fuel industry, no more drilling on federal lands, no more drilling, including offshore, no ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. Ends.
But unfortunately, the outcome is that the Biden administration, the first 2 years, has approved more oil and coal and gas compared to the Trump administration the first 2 years. So why is this happening? Is Joe Biden a climate criminal? No, he's not. It's just that the US president don't have enough power to go up against oil. So what he's doing instead is something brilliant. If you can't make oil lose, let the green side win instead. So he is funneling $1 trillion through the US Inflation Act, $1 trillion to the green solutions. So that oil will stay in the ground because it will not be profitable to pump it up. And this is what We Don't Time is all about. We are the world's largest climate solutions network, and we're helping everyone implementing and acting on the climate and all the solutions to win. That is our mission, and that is what we do. And the reason why I left New York with a very, very high hope was that for the very first time in those international climate meetings, there were no downplaying about the problem. And the problem is not that people don't know about this crisis. The problem is this thing here that I'm going to demonstrate with this champagne bottle. The problem is the cork. The more action that are growing, we're shaking this champagne bottle. Here is all the businesses, all the activists, all the people, and some very exceptional policymakers and politicians are actually doing the right thing. They are shaking this bottle. You've seen the exponential curves, etc. They are all in this bottle. But the more you shake this bottle, the harder the existing fossil fuel industry and all the vested interests of them are trying to resist. So this is something I talked to Johan Rockström, the famous climate scientist, and he said that for the very first time in many, many years, he has started, and all his colleagues are starting to receive so much climate denialism and hate. It wasn't there a couple of years ago, but now it's back. And that's the resistance we're talking about. We have some countries walking in the wrong direction, like UK, that are giving up on their climate targets, etc. That's the resistance that are forcing this cork back down. But the good news is that it's going to happen, because what we are doing and what you're doing at the conference you are right now is that you're shaking this bottle, and when you shake it enough, it pops. And once it pops, it's not going to get stopped. We are going to win this, and we need to fight it, and we need to do everything we can, and we need to do it together. So let's shake the champagne and win the race for our future. Thank you.